you. At the outset, I would like to express my thanks to Mr. Nimal and members of the committee for organizing this wonderful conference. I know that they sacrifice a lot for the success of this program. Again, I congratulate. It is, I think, in my view, it is very effective, very successful conference. I don't like to talk more. The presentation. First, every presenter can take 2 minutes. First presentation, I invite Professor Premaratna.
Good evening, everyone. It's great pleasure and honor to be here and make this presentation and your first and also peace building projects. And in Sri Lanka, what I did the previous day before I came, I went to, I think, Europe and to Jaffna. So you can see the weather pattern. You can, within the day, you can see the call. You can see the training. You can also these 2 days, the same weather, same feeling, same thing. I feel that that's the difference why we Sri Lanka is still underdeveloped. Environment, nice weather there. All the country within the day we can enjoy. When I look at those elements, I found that I found that that word called ecosystem, SME ecosystem. Oh, there. I first look at this reasons for the second element, the education. In Sri Lankan education also, it seems to be fine, though it's not perfectly created entrepreneurs. Ecosystem is developed in 2011, Luxembourg. The culture also really matter in Sri Lanka, like it. So then I look at another factor, because the providing services and the support. If you look at the services and support, if you look at the north and east, the last few years, the per capita funding, not the per capita, because the last few years, the more funding basically went to north and east. In addition, the personal remedies come to north and east. 6,000 per capita only funding. So that also fine, but still SME sector, the country and the north and east underdeveloped. Then I look at another fact, the networking is perfect. If you look at even the north and east, all over with that forum also you can see the network. That is also fine, but still the SME sector, industries and the agriculture even, the underdeveloped market is the localized, not the globalized. We live in the global world. The market is not linked to the global economy. That's the one of the area we have to do. The other area, we don't have a run a business. But if you look at the Sri Lanka, the financial institution, including bank, institution over 40, that's a formal finance. I start my research, the microfinance is the microfinance sector itself. You wonder in Sri Lanka we have the microfinance institution. So, but still people blame that we don't have money to start a business. So that's I think we have to look at it's a policy level, and that we have to connect with the external business environment. So that is the really we have to look at the area, especially the last few years. But we study, I have written a book also. Professor Amistalingam has done a lot of work also. And that skilling in the economy also last few years. And the regulation system in Sri Lanka is over optimal level, is negatively affect to the economic development. Even the SME sector now moving to shadow economy. Last especially last 2 years. With that, so I look at a little bit about the last, I think the Professor Ravindra Kumar invite me. One person is doing the entrepreneurship she's the university graduated, and also another person, she worked in the government. The first person who worked because of high tax and regulation left the country, like some of you left the country. Now what happened, the person who earned, person who give the productivity left the country, others who studied, particularly based on some of the studies, particularly the evaluation project. Recently what I did, the UN peace building, there's a concept called single peace building window in UN. Student, I will show later on what we did together, especially the North and East, the semi-sector development and other areas, and the whole country, some projects also. But this particular study encourage or creating the employment, there are three specific objectives. The first one is to identify the socio or the cultural barriers. That's the three objectives. It's basically the contribution. I look at the local employment and the entrepreneurial challenges and the developing of the post-colonial economic recovery in the overall the world. There are three steps, and looking at the strategies, short-term stabilization issue, especially the war affected area. We did the study 2017, and we published the article in the Peace Journal of Peace Framework, and distributed supply chain. That is also the matter. And also the damage in the mentally to the people, psychology. Sorry, sector and the employment related also, if you look at this little bit literature, now SME sector account and entrepreneurship in 75% employment, and also the constraint, if you look at basically the credit, loan and the access to finance, limited collateral, the weak finance. That's another important areas what we have to look at. Depend on the based on the informal sector, especially even not the microfinance, informal lending. That is the key, because the informal sector is, and the Sri Lanka also several community level development projects also with the support of diaspora, and the main thing getting consumption purpose, that the long-term economic development really affected. So there the research problems comes, why the people not focus in SMEs, why people need the women involvement, SME sector and the entrepreneurship North and East, and also disability and the group also very high population in the North and East. That is also key. We have to look at the inclusiveness, the gender, like I said, the disability and this group. And we have to evaluate the diaspora linkages and involvement. Like I said, the major secondary data and the primary data. Primary data also the quantitative data we use and the qualitative data we use for this particular study, different sources. And also the modeling, we use the different type of model, sector performance, and also the SME sector risk analysis. We use the cost proportional hazard model. I have to quickly do that. And also East and compared to the other province in Sri Lanka, the employment rate is very high, and also the youth employment also very high, and the labor force participation, female labor participation, the SME sector most, but we have to look at the industry and the service sector. And the formal finance also, compared to the informal finance, very less in the North and East. And the SME survival rate, that is look at here, 40, I say, and those things you can look at later on since the time limitation. These are the result, the regression analysis, you can see really the at those areas. At the last point, the finding in the summary, what you see, the structural barriers we have to look at. SME sector survival. Also, these are the policies, policy, especially actionable, strategical policies I recommend here based on the finding different model. And so here we have work in still the area related to the agriculture, industry and the service sector, and we have so many work also. And so with that, thanks you very much.
presentation. This is a time for open discussion. If you have doubts, you can ask.
So you asking me due to your war situation?
Yes, you said because still the war.
No, the hard data, but the reasons like assumption purpose, because they get in that money and this kind of support.
They don't use basically for that the appealing to do against the productivity purpose because they get the kind of free lunch.
Right. But then how the agriculture and agribusiness percentage of
And the agriculture oriented business is high. Has to be, if you look at the value chain, the approach, has to be the little bit more to the industry and the service sector, the economic movement with the both industrial revolution. Agriculture modernization in the North Countries.
and then the SME survival rate. Why
63% survive and no province 48% only within 3 years 52. So compared to national, it's that's also reason. Because that's also reason because the most of the SMEs start with the support funding and
Before the post-war situation
in alleviating poverty?
I think that is a very wonderful question, and that but the first question, the poverty and taxation also can ask you, and also, and the second one, the government support in the sense in compared to other region, the much focus on North East. After that, of course, now for maybe 5-6 years, but that is the thing. Those days maybe. With the new government, right? The poverty alleviation, not only North and East and Sri Lankan government is not doing that. Just try to give things and not focusing on productive purpose.
Cross-section studies of Master of Regional Planning, University of Jaffna. I also thank the conference team for this opportunity. Environmental and market related source. Then Kilnochchi as a post-conflict district relies condition. This is the Kilnochchi district map study area. The research focus on the 4 divisional secretary divisions: Karachi, Kandhavala, Punagiri and Pachilapalli. Districts are underrepresented in the researchers across the South Asia. We know fishing communities face low education. The objective of the study was to assess the socio-economic status of fishing communities in the Kilnochchi district. We also analyzed demographic and income patterns and evaluated how sampling approach ensure fair representation from 16 GN divisions with the 4 DS divisions. We surveyed 351 key descriptive findings of our study. The average of the participation was 45.14 years and the vast majority in 93 points. Striking 97.9% of the household rely primarily of fishing as their main livelihood. Furthermore, 70% and 83.3 lived in permanent structures suggesting a relative stable residence basis. Add women contribution to the income, pointing to present gender disparity in the economic participation. Now moving to the economic variations within the district. We found a strong correlation between the low income and high debt level. This Chaikos test confirmed the lower income household were significant earning. Interestingly, however, boat ownership and the woman involvement were negatively associated with the income, particularly in market-related issues like middleman exploitations, lack of cold storage, and price volatility. Environmental need of multi-sectoral policy attention. Our finding revealed that although fishing remains in the main livelihood, many families, while government schemes exist, awareness in the law and implementation inconsistent. Community expressed a need for at improving the livelihood and resilience fishing communities in the Kilnochi district. The first one is educational and skill development. First, education and the skill alternative livelihoods such as ecotourism, entrepreneurship will enhance the employability. Parenting with NGO financial resilience. This can achieve by providing low-interest credit schemes to small-scale fishers and strengthening fishery cooperation, further enhance financial security. The third one, gender inclusion and empowerment. Promoting gender equality is also vital. Women. Fourth one, social protection and welfare. The next area is strengthen the social protection. Policy should aim to these measures can ensure financial security and better access to health care for marginalized groups. The fifth one, infrastructure market support. Improving infrastructures. The final one, sustainable fisheries and environmental protection. Finally, environmental sustainability should be at the heart of this program will strengthen resilience to environmental challenges. Strength. This is the first cross-sectional study of this Kilnochi district. There was some limitation. First, self-reported data, especially around income and debt, may involve underreporting or recall biases. That may not generalize to other fishing regions in Sri Lanka. The concluded fishing communities in Kilnochi face for sustainable fishing and rural development post-conflict region like in Sri Lanka. References are here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Some of the policy recommendations you made, I can't see that that's coming from your estimated results or whatever.
From the UN reports and Sri Lankan government policies and some of my regional planning studies from in Kilnochi district, they mainly supported to get this data and from the okay, welcome sir.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Thank you for being here today. Before I start my presentation, Northern East development ideas. And finally, he has asked some questions. Actually, it's a very important, valid questions he asked me about. As for our visit from abroad, they can enjoy with the Nallur temple or Vallipura Koil or this other temple. Then they return. There's no people to enjoy the Northern East. So with this mind, I received information from Professor Selvanathan. He clearly sent the message, Ravi, we want to conduct similar kind of conference. So we don't know what will happen in the future. So based on that, the information, then I discussed with my wife, Selvi, and we, okay. Basically, we know that the issue now, presently we have a northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka. As we know that the regions having decades of conflict and also career advancement and also financial security. Even though we expect similar kind of benefit we can enjoy, but on the other hand, we have significant challenges for adding to eastern, north and east provinces, and also look at the economic growth, also the long-term development. So with this kind of idea, so what is the purpose of success? And also to inform policymakers, the diaspora, and also institutions about the practical. This study provides one of the first large-scale quantitative assessment
Within 3 months, we had a lot of issues to collect the data. Finally, this paper, unlike previous studies, this particular paper purely economic and social full factors for respondents. And again, some of the push factors, particularly unemployment, again skill mismatch, this is one of the major issues presently in North and East. Look at the retention policies. The study, our study provides a data-driven evaluation of the current retention. The lack of retention strategy we are using so far in the North and East provinces. And finally, we want to provide some policy-oriented, policy framework that connect employment creation, entrepreneurship promotion, education and skill development, also infrastructure, decades of civil conflict I mentioned previously, and face unique challenges such as limited infrastructure, everyone we know, and weak institution of we can observe the both provinces. So while migration can benefit, because we know that through the remittances we can earn huge amount. The drivers of youth migration and exploring effective retention strategies, not only the regional priority but also evidence. I have identified the first three. The theories are mainly focused on the economic factors, how these economic factors can influence on the migration. Move on other three. There may be some issue. Social network theory and also human development theory. Those theory. And when you look at the empirical evidence, there are plenty of literature, but only I summarize some of the major areas. That is one of the another area. And again, we have a social and diaspora. There are some.
It's cut off.
What?
That's how you saved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, okay. So, based on the theoretical and also empirical evidence, so I guess what we identify, the limited employment opportunities, skill mismatch, weak private sector growth, and low institutional made the area we can call the push and pull factors. And also many people realize that the remittances is support for the local. There are some sort of challenges. So identify the challenges is a very important for present situation. When I look at the existing studies, they are mainly question number one, what personal aspiration and perception influence youth migration intention in the both provinces. Such questions we have identified, how do regional socio-economic challenges, particularly unemployment, and we always talk about the good governance, again it's an inequality, shape the migration among the youth people. And what is the role of social and diaspora network in sustaining or reducing migrant level? And finally, need to provide some policy recommendation for particularly the government and also some other institution. Main objective to generate a clear and evidence-based understanding why young people in Sri Lanka, the both provinces are inclined to migrate, and what can be done of objectives. Yeah. 5 minutes. Why 5 minutes? Okay. To explore the drivers of youth migration, to examine the structural constraints is the second recommendation. And then move on the methodology. So the study employed the quantitative research, and as I have mentioned, overall 1085 youth. The first one is the demographic information. The second one is the perception and aspiration regarding to local and international opportunities. And third one is the migration experiences and input skill items we use. And data analysis combine both descriptive and also inferential. Particularly, we conducted recreation and also. And the second one is a career development is another major full factors, particularly at the education level or career development, and also the financial support and the youth migration, particularly in the north and east provinces. And when you look at the regression results, it clearly shows that actually in our results, the dependent variable is a youth migration indices. The results clearly shows that the personal aspiration is a very high significant factor to influence on the migration, and also structural and particularly the first factor supported the result. But on the other hand, when you look at the retention strategies, it's a very weak significant, which means the strategies are not supported, mismatches between the education level and the demand for the youth. And the high living cost also one of the first factor, and the last one is a weak institutional support. These are the vocational training program, entrepreneurship scheme, and against the community program. These are very weak, particularly in the both. And the policy recommendation for, there are 6 areas. First one is the employment creation. Look at the policy intervention. Small and medium-sized enterprises can provide some support, very important for both. And when you look at the youth entrepreneurship, the policy intervention, focus on financial support, mentorship, and capital necessary for in the both provinces, and the training program is important. When you look at the third one, education and skill, strengthening education and the skill development is then in terms of strengthening retention strategy, there are some policy intervention. I think I have, and also when you look at the aspiration of the society, we have to check with the local opportunities. So the policy intervention, career guidance, and counseling services are important. Really, there are certain limitations. The geography only we discuss about the 2 provinces, and only we rely self-reported survey data. This is the limitation. And the cross-sectional design for the furthest research, I have summarized here. And finally, for policy relevance for the 3 major areas, one for the government, second for the NGOs, diaspora, and possible to stop the youth migration. Therefore, we have to work together. We have to check whether how we can accommodate our youth in north and east. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions.
So I really appreciate the great presentation. So I have one doubt.
Really mentioned that particularly even though we have mentioned here is a university and training institution or community organization, we have practically we observe that whatever we initiated for the youth. So we need some sort of collaboration with foreign people or foreign intervention. Otherwise, it's impossible. So, for example, other kind of activities, particularly these trucks with some students, and then we have some sort of program for them. So after a certain point, we cannot continue because with the financial support, or they can maybe connect some kind of mentorship program. Even they can give some mentorship program. This identify actual problem in the north and east. So what kind of program suited for the north and east youth? So based on that, that's what I have clearly mentioned. We need to do some diaspora encouraging the migration. I don't think so. So we discussed about this our Thayaham. So yeah. Okay.
Now in Sri Lanka, even 190 graduates gets
50,000 salary or 60. Basically, yes. On the salary is 50,000, 60,000. But Maldives, Qatar provides 700,000. When we have that type of situation in our country for several decades, how we are going to discourage even graduates?
Still, but I want to tell you a very good example. You look at Singapore. The people, those who are living out of the country, they always think about, they want to work with the Singapore. They want to provide, though we have a limited income, but poverty is continuing. But look at the country like Maldives, other country, they have a poverty is very less. So work together and provide, definitely we can alleviate, but it's definitely not only for one person or one institution, work together and provide appropriate policy.
Youth migration occurs because of the employment. Employment relates to the income. So might as a lecturers or any senior lecturers or university society.
Yeah.
How much of percentage you are producing entrepreneurs out of your
That's a really very good question. It's a really very good question. When you look at particularly the Borneo University, actually in my
Even I heard in Eastern University, out of 200, only 8 students from Eastern.
that's the situation.
192 students from
And when I come to a question, yes, we hope that they can join, they can work in the university, but unfortunately, after got the first class, they marry, they left, they stay now somewhere. How we can prepare for them as an entrepreneur? It's a question. It's a really very good question. We have to think about students to become an entrepreneur. Yes, Professor.
My view is say personal aspiration.
Our time, when I was a high school student, of our younger generation, they think they are not worried about finding some opportunities. I mean, even I'm talking about, I'm not undermine any people living overseas. But impression youths in law that instead of struggling here, let me go overseas. But if they come overseas.
Very good example. Let's look at this the festival time.
One more question.
The festival time, when you look at the people came from the foreign country.
I have limited time.
A small question. Okay. Now you compare Korea and Singapore about the expatriates thinking over time about their country. But
we accept everything because of political risk, of course, we cannot escape from that particular issue. Definitely. And also look at not only the family, but more at the single is also migrant. But of course the economic factors, the political factors, and also their personal inspiration. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Good evening to everybody. My presentation is based on our going to University of Sussex. These 3 institutions supported our research study. This project is implemented by
projects and the presentation. We focus heavily IDPs and refugee returnees from India in 2009, but the impacts of work continue till today. We conducted our data collection in Tellipoli DST and Marudangani DST. When you think about post-war recovery, it's a multi-dimensional process. You can't think about social factors. Then, the people displaced in 1980s, the pain they incurred is unbearable. Reach the land, but looks like jungle. This is the impact of the war. People displaced. Then people return. We use this word. Part of the mobility has been released, but another area should be released. This land belongs to one gentleman, IDPs and refugee returnees from India. The people incur a lot of financial issues, their livelihood gone, and they have lost their networks. When you see our methodology, we conducted in-depth interviews with IDPs. No need to read the detailed explanation. I go quickly because I allow. Then key informal interviews with government servant and focus group discussion we had 2, FGD1, FGD2, and serious literature review also we conducted. Then I move to result. Moving quickly. Stop here. Okay. So we go to research and discussion. As I mentioned at the beginning, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it lasted for more than 26 years. When you talk about infrastructure development is crucial. We have to ensure proper livelihood support for them. Social cohesion is needed. Then psychosocial, the mental strength is important. And you need to improve the economic situation, social situation. There are a lot of institutional plays an important role here, but they don't have economic strength to build houses. Then livelihood also we have to restore. And there are barriers to control. And government program, central government, provincial council, and particularly district secretary, the integration of the families. So when you talk to them, sometimes they comply because these programs are implemented unevenly. And economic dimension, when you see that as from them, that type of pain also there. Definitely we have to talk about poverty, gender inequality, sometimes low level of credit facilities. When people, in that time I met Mr. Arnold also, we had a discussion with him also. So when they come to Sri Lanka, they don't have identity card, they have to get identity card first. Indian revenue returnees are facing. Then when we discuss about the challenges again, social and psychosocial dimension is crucial because this war is crucial here. People are struggling with weak psychosocial support system. Then when we consider the refugee returnees, their reintegration is very difficult. Sometimes socialization skills, then cultural adaptation also important for the recovery. These are interconnected. Land access also important because lands are under military control sometimes. Livelihood, economic security definitely enhances social cohesion. Otherwise, when they face lower income, people are struggling, then social cohesion is under threat. So everything should be integrated. Particularly, we have to take maximum care on this vulnerable segment of the community. So what is the reason? Then after the war, we have to understand, we have to accept one aspect. The government started to release the land. When people of my village displaced from Trincomalee district, I know the pain. So pain is pain. So I cannot say Mailiti people is decades. That's not a short term. The entire life gone for some time. Some people were waiting for their land. Before they get land, they died. That also happened. The land to be released, part of Mailiti has been released, but another part is under army control. You can see, you were in the same village. That side, we can understand when they talk about their kovil, their churches, one gentleman came and started to cry. So they are sensitive. Not only military, sometimes Department of Forest, Department of Archaeology, Department of Coastal and Conservation Department. Sometimes they also control, the officials are working tirelessly. Sometimes they go beyond their mandate. But enough. People are borrowing. Sometimes they are selling their gold jewelries. And then the problem is of economic expansion. I will answer to your question. Poverty is very high in northern district. I am going to show you the data. What is the role of diaspora here? This conference, first time focus integrated mechanism. According to my academic experience, first பார்த்திருக்கின்றேன், கலந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றேன். என்னுடைய கிராமம் மக்கள் இடம்பெயர்ந்த போது முதலாவது கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் நான் யுஎஸ்ஏயில் கலந்து கொண்டேன் 2009, கனடாவில் 2023. அந்த கொலம்பியாவுக்கு ஈராக்கும் இடையில் நிறைய கேப் இருக்குது. அது பேண்டமிக்கால் நாங்கள் பல நாடுகளுக்கு போக முடியவில்லை. இந்த பல நாடுகள் இதில் யுத்தம் நடந்த நாடுகள். பலருடைய மக்கள் குடியேற்றப்பட்டார்கள். அதன் பிறகு என்னுடைய பார்வை யாழ்ப்பாணம் மீது திரும்பியது. அதன் பிறகு நாங்கள் யாழ்ப்பாணம் பாசையூர் ஆய்வுகள் செய்தோம். அப்பொழுதுதான் மிஸ்டர் ஆர்னால்டை நான் சந்தித்தேன். என்ன பிரச்சனைன்னு சொன்னால் நான் உங்களிடம் சொல்லத்தான் வேணும். ஓகே, நான் கம்மிங் குயிக்லி. நான் சம்பூர் சம்பந்தமாக ரிசர்ச்சை 90 மோசமடைந்தது. தெல்லிப்பளை, மகாஜனா காலேஜ், யூனியன் காலேஜ், நடேஸ்வரா கல்லூரியில் படித்தவர்கள் உலகம் முழுவதும் இருக்கிறார்கள். எவருமே யாழ்ப்பாண மக்களுடைய இடம்பெயர்வு சம்பந்தமாக எழுப்பியிருக்கின்றது. 2015 ஆட்சி மாற்றம் அடைந்தவுடன் உடனடியாக சம்பூர் மக்கள் குடியேற்றப்பட்டார்கள். உடனடியாகவே ஒஸ்டின் பெர்னாண்டோஸ் முன்னாள் கவர்னர் சொல்லுகிறார் ஏன், ஆனால் அதனால தான் அவருடைய குடியேற்றம் எல்லாம் தாமதமாகின்றது. இந்த சமூகம், கல்வி சமூகம் அவர்களுக்கு உதவி செய்யவில்லை, எந்தவித ஆய்வையும் செய்யவில்லை. அது 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 ஆவணப்படுத்த நிமலுக்கு போக வேண்டும், ஜிடிஎஃப் சம்பந்தப்பட்ட அனைவருக்கும் போக வேண்டும். அந்த குறைபாடு இன்றுடன் நீக்கப்படுகின்றது. அந்த அந்த வி ரீகெயின் அவன் சொல்லுகிறேன். ஏன் இந்த 25ஆம் ஆண்டு கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் எனக்கு முக்கியமானது என்று சொன்னால், இந்த ஃபெடரேஷன் ஆஃப் குளோபல் தமிழ், they have started the process, integrated process. அமைக்க வேண்டும், நீண்ட கால நன்மைகளை அவர்களுக்கு வழங்க வேண்டும். எங்களுக்கு சோஷியோ எக்கனாமி வெல்பீயிங் மிக முக்கியம். நான் நேரத்தை தாமதிக்க விரும்பவில்லை. எங்களுடைய ஆய்வினுடைய தரவுகள் எல்லாம் சென்ட்ரல் பேங்க்லேருந்து வந்தது. இந்த கண்ட்ரி 2020 இப்பொழுது 4% ஏனைய மாகாணங்களை ஒப்பிடும்போது வடகிழக்கு மாகாணங்கள் பங்களிப்பு குறைவாக இருக்கின்றது. அதில் வடமாகாணம் மிக குறைந்த பங்களிப்பை வழங்குகின்றது. நான் மிக வேகமாக போகின்றேன். ஓகே, இதன் விளைவாக பெரும்பான்மையாக கொண்ட மாவட்டம் நுவரெலியா. இங்கே பாருங்கள், நுவரெலியாவில் வறுமை 23%, ஜஃப்னா 20%, முல்லைத்தீவு இலங்கையிலே 39.5%. மிக வடகிழக்கு வெளியே பதுளையிலும் தமிழ் மக்கள் இருக்கிறார்கள். தமிழ் மக்கள் எண்ணிக்கை கூடும்போது வறுமை கூடுகின்றது, தமிழ் மக்கள் எண்ணிக்கை குறையும் போது வறுமை குறைகிறது. வவுனியாவில் குறைகின்றது, மன்னாரில் குறைகின்றது, முல்லைத்தீவில் கூடுகின்ற வழங்கும். தமிழ் மக்களுக்கும் வறுமைக்கும் இடையிலே நேரடி கோரிலேஷன் இருக்குது. மாகாணங்கள் என்ற அடிப்படையிலே உங்களுக்கு தெரியுது பாருங்கள். நொதர்ன் ப்ராவின்ஸ் 23, ஊவை ஒரு ஒதுக்குப்புறமான இடத்தில் இருக்கிற அந்த பெருசாக நீல அந்த சிவப்பு டொட்டாக இருக்கிறது இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் மெரிடைம் பார்டர் லைன். அந்த கோட்டை பாருங்கள், இந்தியாவையும் இலங்கையும் பிரிப்பது. இரவு 4 மணிக்கு என்ன நான் இதாக மாற்றி விட்டேன் பாருங்க. எல்லாம் திரும்பி போய் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். Northern Sea is a dead sea. Northern Sea is a dead sea now. So many are talking about this Kachadip problem. ஆகவே இந்த பிரச்சனையால் ட்ரோலர் ஃபிஷிங்கால் வட மாகாண மீனவர்கள் கடுமையான பாதிப்புகளை எதிர்கொள்கிறார்கள். குறிப்பாக யாழ்ப்பாணம் மன்னர். நான் மிக வேகமாக போகிறேன். மக்களுக்கு சைக்கோ சோஷியல் இஷ்யூ இருக்கின்றது, போதவஸ்து பாவனை அதிகமாக இருக்கின்றது, சைக்கோ சோஷியல் இஷ்யூ இருக்கின்றது, அந்த இல்னஸ் இருக்குது, மென்டல் இல்னஸ் எல்லாம் மக்களுக்கு இருக்கின்றது. நீண்ட இடப்பெயர்வு எல்லாத்தையும் உருவாக்கி இருக்கின்றது. சூசைட் கேசஸ் அதிகமாக இருக்கின்றது. மக்கள் பௌதிக கட்டமைப்புகளை உருவாக்குவதால் ரிகவரி உருவாக்க இயலாது. மக்களுடைய அனைத்து விடயங்களையும் நாங்கள் பார்க்க வேண்டும். இதில் ரிட்டர்ன் இருக்குது, ரீசெட்டில்மெண்ட் இருக்குது. நான் நேர விடயம் காரணமாக நம்பகமாக முடிக்கின்ற கொண்டிருக்கிறீர்கள். இன்னமும் ஒருங்கிணைக்கப்பட்ட ரீதியில் இந்த சப்போர்ட், டயஸ்போரா சப்போர்ட் இருக்கணும். அட்கோக் மேனரில் இங்கொன்றும் அங்கொன்றுமாக செய்வது வெற்றியை தராது. இந்த FG.
Thank you, Lingam, for your great presentation. I have a question. You say that
Boundary is a high modern province. Do you have any primary? BCS.
I have mentioned secondary data from Central Bank of Sri Lanka and Department.
We don't have secondary
data. That is one. Second one, sometimes our growth rate is going down, negative. When we question the data, government can adjust the data. Okay, last year 5%, this year coming down 3%. If government can change the data, then next year it can be 8% growth rate.
And some certain areas definitely, especially the tribal families groups in Kradanga, very much affected. I don't think they are doing anything for that. Everybody was sitting.
You said resettled people, IDPs. You showed a picture of Nalanda. 2016 when
the land belongs to Tejas family.
Okay, so there the issue is that again the appreciation is not there sometimes. So,
Any question? Good luck. Thank you.
போர் நடந்து ஏதோ விதமான பிரச்சனைகள் இருந்துச்சு. ஆனால் நாட்டை கட்டி எழுப்பின அப்புறம் நாங்கள் செய்ய வேண்டியது சொன்னால் இப்போ மக்கள் சனத்தொகை நான் துவக்கத்தே சொன்னேன். மக்கள் சனத்தொகையை திருப்பி கொண்டு வரதுக்கு நாங்கள் கஷ்டப்பட வேண்டியதான். இலத்தில் உழைக்கலாம் ஊழியன்ற ஒரு நிலைமையை உண்டாக்க வேண்டிய கடமை எங்களுக்கு இருக்கு. அப்படியான ஒரு நிலைமை உண்டாக்கினால்தான் நாங்கள் திரும்பி வரக்கூடிய திரும்பி வரணும் 50 பேருக்கு படி 2 பேரும் ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ண பேப்பர்
academically qualified or not, they are telling that what is the next and you got Mogaya bro.
The point is not present digital financial literacy and financial behavior evidence from women entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka.
On digital financial literacy and financial behavior evidence from women entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. This research was carried out by and Sridhar English student faculty of management. Background of the study. The swift advancement in the digital financial landscape has introduced the greater complexity and the elevated the security demands. According to the reports, the digital financial services offer the various according to the digital financial technology, simply known as fintech, has presented the new investment opportunities and risks for the individuals who have direct oversight of their finances. These traditional financial literacy frameworks generally developed in the traditional analog systems. It is insufficient for addressing the complexities of the fintech, mobile, and digital payment side. Sri Lanka is still lagging behind due to the barriers in the literacy, awareness, and trust. Additionally, that the examination, employment, and economic growth, they face the various challenges, including the inadequate financial and digital literacy. Those things are contributing to their higher business failure rates. By addressing this gap, the present study aims to investigate the impact of digital financial literacy on the financial behavior in the eastern province Sri Lanka. Based on the previous literatures, the digital financial literacy is defined as it is fundamentally financial literacy in the context. Financial behavior is defined as any human behavior related to money management. It involves savings, financial behavior. These digital financial literacy positively influencing the financial behavior by enabling the users to manage their finances, understanding the financial ideas, and being able to use that information to make the well-informed decisions are both considered as the aspects of. Therefore, based on these literatures and the theories, we have developed this conceptual model. The independent variable is the main hypothesis of our study is there is a positive ratio. I have used the questionnaires to collect the data from Eastern Province. These regions are comparatively low when it's compared to other has conducted. The reliability of the data is tested through the Crumbach alpha coefficient. Main data analysis are correlation and the regression analysis. 3 districts in Eastern Province, Batticaloa, Trincomalee and the Ampara. I have distributed 200 questionnaire for each district. And again, I have get the 528 questionnaires. Their income range between generally 40,000 to 59,999 Sri Lankan rupee. Most of the respondents are married, and the most of the respondents we have tested the parametric assumptions of test of normality. Skewness and courtesies values are shown in the table, and histogram also shows that the data is normally distributed. Is acceptable for further analysis. Pearson correlation analysis shows the relationship between these independent variable and the dependent variable as well as the diamond behavior. Further to analyze the dimensions of the variables, I have run the multiple regression analysis. This result shows there is a 52 point. All the results are consistent with the prior studies. These are the examples of prior studies that relevant to my dimensions: digital financial knowledge, digital experience, and digital awareness showed significant positive impact, while digital skills have no significant. In this study has some limitations as well. First, this study relies on self-reported structured statement of actual digital financial literacy and the financial behaviors. Second, this sample is limited to women entrepreneurs in selected districts, which constrain the generalizability of the financial literacy, positively influence the financial behavior through its components of digital financial knowledge, experience, and awareness. This digital finance experience demonstrated a stronger effect than the digital skills alone, as sustained exposure to online banking, e-wallets, and other financial systems that promotes the proactive behaviors is to enhance the women entrepreneurs' digital financial practices. Thereby, they can strengthen their business while simultaneously supporting the development of the microfinance sector and advancing the financial. Therefore, it's quite difficult to select the sample size. Therefore, I have issued for my convenience and collect the data from in my questionnaire.
Further to Kavishima's points, in the context of Sri Lanka, mostly these are the informal sectors. There is no, the research is mainly focused with the experienced women entrepreneurs is the requirement to analyze these concepts, what we intend to do it based on our research issues. So in order to find that, so basically why we choose the convenience, we selected the Eastern province with the rationality. Then take these 3 districts, we issued equal modeling is possible for us as a researcher to move through knowing this GS division, ADA division, or maybe some micro credit officers. This is the way to
suspect serial correlation. Most likely we have a heterogeneity issue. So you have to test for heteroscedasticity rather than serial correlation.
Youth Leon, Sanindra and Vijayendra, we are going to present the topic entitled Barriers to Digital Marketing Research among the
But the slide is visible. Yes. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity. So it's really a very good reference. Without any further delay, we can move on. So what's our title is Barriers to Digital Marketing Adoption among the tourists. Give so much of things to the country as well as to the globe, creating direct and indirect jobs some studies. That one benefits because without tourism they can't move on because they are struggling with their economy. So because of that reason we are choosing this tourism industry. And the second point is that conventional to digital. So we need not from this particular sector or industry. So it's imperative to move on towards this digitalization. So there are studies concluded that online presence people, conventional marketing reaching the foreign with them, it's very difficult, tough. So moving through digital is a simple technique, but it concluded and supporting this point. So they have stated that there is a statistically significant relationship and impact of digital marketing on business performance. So if we cover the MSMEs with tourism, it's a simple way to move on. And the problem here, why we have chosen this, that particular area couldn't get rid of all these is some problems that was and everything we could get rid of, but still the evidences and still the symptoms build and stabilize the tourism, because in the case of Sri Lanka, stabilizing the things is sustainability is a question, because always the businesses have adoptions and resistance towards this digital marketing. There are so many studies stated that because of that we need to point on the barriers, business failure. Why this business failure is important here is a talking factor here. In Sri Lanka, nearly 30% of the startup, they fail within 2 years. And it's a primary and key tool to work on this tourism.
So what are the key objectives here? First, we need to figure out the barriers of study based on two different theories, but both are integrated. So first one is the technology acceptance model, TAM model. So everybody dealing with digital by integrating this theory, because based on two major factors, perceived usefulness and perceived ease of access. And the second one, from these three big areas, domains, need to be clarified. So that's why we have chosen these big two theories and models. We are not going to deal with numerical data, non-numerical, subjective data, subjective areas we are going to approach. And also it's an exploratory research, because we are not going, but tourism is a diversified sector area. So we have chosen based on the trend and based on the intensivity, accommodation, food and beverage, and handicraft businesses for our research data. And especially we have chosen the snowball sampling, because the previous presentation also I heard that the presenter suggested or justify themselves. There are no, it's not fair. So I need to check all these things. DS office records, everywhere I checked, but I couldn't get anything from them. So I got it, but it's not the exact one, obvious one. So, and the method of analysis, these participants comprising owners and managers, mix of them. The method we have chosen, the thematic analysis, we have chosen the data, or in Sri Lankan context, below 10, the micro, and 10 to 50, the employees small, more than 50, we go for medium. So this is the process we have. We came up with sub-themes. Finally, we end up with the main themes. So this is the sampling profile as we discussed earlier. Food and beverage also the same type of things in case of experience, 40, 40 and 20. But in the case of samples chosen, it may be a reason compared to this accommodation and food and beverage, this handicraft is an emerging business, especially in northern region. That's why the minimum percentage of expertise, and the second one, digitally unskilled employees. So somebody may think that both are similar, the digital literacy and unskilled, but total responses. And dependence on outsourcing, because of these unskilled employees, they are depending, the businesses are depending on outsourcers to promote. And the second big barrier, the big theme, we found that infrastructure barriers, internet network issues, and second one, the lack of facilities. Unstable network and weak connections lead to these internet network issues, and outdated systems and unavailability of digital tools. Discussing the financial barriers. So financial barriers in the case high adoption cost, because cheaper, the digital marketing, digital promotion is cheaper compared to conventional way of promoting. Increasing the interest rates for loans and limited loans facilities. Earlier there are so much of options available, so because of the loans, for most of the loans, so entrepreneurs, they couldn't have it. And the final big theme is that means that barrier is organizational barrier. Okay, so blue color indicates the main themes, green color sub-themes, and the orange color indicates the cause. So what's the conclusion here? To particular, it's common for all sectors in tourism, so it's a kind of generalization. So severe barrier here, so that based on the responses, we have particularly under the infrastructure and organizational barriers. So recommendation is there. This is our third objective. So internal stakeholders, to the people, internal as well as external stakeholders, to move on through this digital technology. So that's all. So thank you very much for listening to our presentation. Thank you.
If you think that internet facility is giving this disadvantage to, as you mentioned, I think it's worth
do a comparative study.
For example, if you think that in the south, the comparative study will give you more insights. And also your sample size is reasonably small, and I don't know how many tourism operators are in the north. Right? This is good to have a comparative study to see whether other regions are having advantage, having more digital all the hotels in Sri Lanka. I go through the whoever the booking companies, even their operation hotels in Sri Lanka. It's going to improve the tourism arrivals. So it may have some impact, but the best thing to do is.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a very good suggestion because it will be a justifiable study to the government and other stakeholders to show that while we are backing. Yes, in the fifth category, yes.
But I'm suggesting if you are trying to publish this in a journal or somewhere, I think it may be better to do a comparative study.
Thank you.
Prof. Adesina?
Okay, so this is the day 3 will be in a different location. I understand, in case if some of you are not aware, it's going to be CP's. It's in the back.